Test, one, two, three. Test, one, two, three.
Looks like everyone we're going to have. This is a meeting for the Historic Landmark Commission. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, no changes.
No changes. All right. Do you want to go ahead and read the statement?
IT, if you could put the presentation on the screen, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is a reminder that this is an official meeting of the City of El Paso's Historic Landmark Commission. We ask and expect that all attendees are courteous and respectful to each other to ensure a professional meeting. And an excessive display of uncivil behavior or being disruptive may require for an individual to be removed from the meeting. And from Chapter 20.20 it states, when City Council has adopted architectural and design guidelines for a particular district, those guidelines shall control, provided they are not in conflict with the requirements of the City Code, except that the HLC may approve exceptions to the guidelines in an effort to maintain the historic integrity of an H overlay property, in which case the exception shall control in that case. What that means is, basically, if someone comes in and asks for, let's say, replacing barrel tile roofing with asphalt shingle, the Landmark Commission can make that determination and has the power to do that. Staff cannot do that. However, because Landmark does that, it does not change the ordinance, it does not change the rules, it does not change the guidelines. It applies to that particular case.
All right, thank you, Praveen. Do we have any public comment? No? All right, on to the regular agenda. Item number 1 is 4652 Capel Circle.
This item is a certificate of appropriateness for window removal and replacement at 4652 Capel Circle, located in the Austin Terrace Historic District, zoned R4H, which is residential historic, and constructed in 1940 and is a contributing property. So the property owner was recently cited for having new windows. Basically, the property was constructed, here it's in the Austin Terrace Historic District, in 1930, and as is typical of that time period, it had what we believe are casement windows. So if you can look at the photograph, which was taken about 2000 or so, you can see that there are casement windows, gable roof, little barrel tile at the edge, stucco, very, very typical of the time. So recently we noticed that somehow the house just didn't have the same casement windows. So we did a little history. We went into Google Maps and we looked back and we found this from 2015. So it looks like the windows were replaced quite some time ago. We checked our records and there are no approvals and no permits for the windows. Now, to change windows in the city of El Paso, you actually need a permit, whether you're in a historic district or not. It just requires a permit. But because it's historic, it's usually diverted to our office, so that way we can review it and see if there's any compliance with the guidelines, but that opportunity wasn't given to anyone because this was done without the benefit of that. So as you can see, the windows that replace them don't match the historic windows at all. They're not casement, they're not operable, they're single pane windows. At least on the front. And somewhere else. So we looked at the surrounding area, and as I always like to say, a violation is like a virus and then it tends to spread. So we did find quite a few violations on this block as well, and we will address them one by one. So we're going to recommend, approval with modifications based on the following. The design guidelines for El Paso's historic district sites and properties recommend. However, if windows are damaged beyond repair, replacement windows should match the type, such as double hung, style, for example, 6 panes over 6 panes, and finish, such as paint. Replacement windows on the main facade will be comprised of the operable portions of the window and match the type, style, operation, configuration, and finish of the original windows. Do not use single pane picture windows or horizontal sliding windows if they are not the original window types. Installation of windows similar to the original appearance and structural purpose, regardless of construction materials, is permitted. Windows and secondary facades shall be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Doors and windows are considered important character-defining features because of its significant detailing. When windows are involved in the construction process, it is recommended to repair rather than replace. In many cases, this will entail only the replacement of a broken sash cord, new weather stripping, removing old paint, and repainting. Retain and preserve the pattern, arrangement, and dimensions of door and window openings on principal elevations. Often the placement of doors and windows is an indicator of a particular architectural style and therefore contributes to the building's significance. Doors and windows for new construction additions should be compatible in proportion, location, shape, pattern, size, and details to existing units. Retain and preserve original doors and windows, including such elements as sash, glass, sills, lintels, casings, muntins, trim, frames, thresholds, hardware, and shutters. If repair of an original window or door element is necessary, repair only the deteriorated element to match the original in size, composition, material, dimension, detail by patching, splicing, consolidating, or otherwise reinforcing the deteriorated section. The removal of historic materials should be avoided. When repair is not feasible, door and window products will be reviewed on an individual basis using the following criteria. A, architectural and historical compatibility. B, comparison to original profile. C, level of significance of original doors and windows to the architectural style of the building. And D, three-dimensional exterior applied muntins that simulate or match the original muntins may be approved. Single-dimension interior applied muntins are not appropriate. And the Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation recommend the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize the property shall be avoided. New additions, exterior alterations related to new construction will not destroy historic materials, features, and spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with the historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion, and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. And the modification is that the new windows match the existing or historic the historic windows.
All right, thank you, Proby. All right, appears the windows have been replaced with solid windows. Is anyone opposed to exterior applied muntins? I think that would be the best. Do you want to hear from the homeowner? Sure. Come on up and state your name for the record and.
My name is William West. I live at 4652 Maple Circle. The windows were replaced 11 years ago, on September, no, July 25th, 11 years ago. Okay. Also, the acoustics are really bad. I didn't understand a word, the whole thing you said. It wasn't even clear. I couldn't even understand
I also
the word
talk-
you said.
I talk very quickly.
Whatever it was that you read, I didn't
Okay.
understand a word of it.
Okay, well, I talk very quickly too.
Yeah, 'cause
So
Anyway,
basically what I read was guidelines saying that, you put back the old windows, so that's it.
the previous owner, Denise Paselniak, her grandmother had passed away a while back, and her brother got upset because her grandmother gave her money and not him, because he's kind of a lowlife. And so we had Martin Construction, 'cause after she got the money, she said, the house needs to be painted, we need a new roof, it's leaking, all that stuff. So she spent that money, and we had Jim Martin come out, and he replaced the roof. We had Tovar Electric come out, redo the electrical, all that stuff. And her brother was mad because he didn't get any money from the grandmother. So I wasn't there when it happened, but my roommate Denise came home early, and she caught him in the backyard, and he had already destroyed the back windows with a big old sledgehammer. He was mad. And so there was a big fight among them, and so since Martin Construction was out there already, he said, hey, we need some windows replaced. I didn't know they didn't get a permit for the windows. I had no clue. So I just assumed they did.
Okay.
So,
So essentially, the windows in historic districts have to maintain mostly the look, and if possible, the function. What we're proposing is that you apply exterior muntins, grid, on the outside of these existing windows to kind of simulate them to look like the old ones. So it's a fairly simple task. There's double-sided tape that you can use. But basically, it brings it back to looking like the original historic windows.
Double-sided tape?
There is tape for Muntins, yeah. It's
Are you
very,
serious? Make it
very easy.
look like it's
I've
old?
done extensive research on this.
Okay, I have a question. Before I left this morning, I walked up and down Capel Street only, and there's 13 houses that have windows just like mine.
Oh, feel free to turn them in.
Yeah, ma'am, I don't know if you
I have
heard
the
me during the
list right here.
presentation.
I had the list, and then I
Yeah.
turned another street, and there's 2 more houses that have windows just like mine.
Ma'am, I don't know if you heard during my presentation, I noted that and said we will be dealing
Yeah, I
with your
saw
neighbors.
that house too, but there's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
Yeah.
12 others, because I walked the street, and I wrote down the addresses.
I believe Commissioner Negron has a question.
So I really thought that Martin Construction, I
Oh.
mean, you guys, I think, are familiar with Jim Martin,
I don't know.
Yeah. so.
There's a lot of
He said, oh, yeah,
contractors.
don't worry, we'll take care of it, and they came out and measured and everything, and put them in. So I didn't know you didn't get a permit, so
Yeah.
I'd be more than glad to make a permit, and if you only put double-sided tape on the front windows,
Well, what he
so you
means
can't see
is,
the other windows.
yeah, by putting double-sided tape on the front windows, you stick like little pieces of wood on top that make it look like a grid. So what he's saying is, what he's asking you to do, what they ask a lot of people to do in your situation is, make it look like the old window, don't change out the entire window, that's gonna be really expensive. So they're giving you the opportunity to just make it look
Okay,
that way.
that front window by the door, it was a picture window with only 2 slats on the side.
There you go, the slats, right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you get, they're called Muntins. You pick them up at Home Depot and you cut them down to shape and then use this double-sided tape. You'd probably have to order that and place them on there to kind of simulate what the windows used to look like.
Is that gonna wear off after a while?
It's designed for glazing. I mean, you probably got to clean the window really well before you put it on there, but it's exterior applied
So I can get stuff
stuff.
like that at Home Depot?
Yeah, I think you might have to order the tape. That one's a little bit more specialized.
I would recommend 3M VHB tape, the double-sided tape.
3M,
The brand 3M,
okay.
and then the style of tape is VHB.
HB,
VHB.
V?
Mhm.
Okay, you can write that down for me?
So that's what we're suggesting is basically you add back, I need to move this away from me. Add back the Muntins to simulate the look of the old windows. That way you can keep these windows, since I'm sure the historic windows after 11 years are long gone. So, yeah. So
Yeah, oh, yeah.
that's the compromise we're trying to make with you instead of.
Okay, so, all right. That window, the bedroom window there, the front one, do you have an old picture of that one? I can't remember what it looked like. I think it had the 2 that open up on the side and a bigger one in the middle. I think it was. In other words, I just kind of need to make it look similar to the neighbors.
Yeah, find someone who hasn't replaced their
Some of
windows.
the neighbors, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, similar to your old ones, the old ones. And we have a few pictures of that, not really good ones, but we can guess.
Here's the list.
Okay, send it to me. Give it to me.
You can give it to the historic preservation officer and we will have them come here.
Because I'm like, wow, there's a lot of people that either they don't know or they were just trying to bullshit somebody, I guess.
A lot of and this has happened to me, I mean, the windows people don't like to get permits for some reason. It
Well,
costs.
that's what surprised me, because this was a construction company.
Yeah,
And he'd already, got permits for all the rest of the stuff. That's,
yeah, I mean, permits don't cost much, a couple $100 maybe, but they just don't want to do it,
that's
because maybe
crazy.
they're
I
doing
think-
other
I think
things.
this lady told me the same thing, that it's very prolific here in El Paso, that people just don't want to get permits.
There could be a number of reasons. Maybe they're not licensed, or perhaps they're doing other work on your house that also includes permits, and it adds up. There's a lot of them just don't want the headache of talking to the inspector, because he's going to come out and tell them to fix something.
Yeah, I guess
kind of their
that
job.
everything changes, because I think about 35 years ago, our gas line coming into our house was leaking.
Yeah,
And so I was able to pull a permit myself and fix it myself, so I did. But today, I don't think you can do that. You probably have to have a licensed plumber.
Yeah, that's correct.
But
And the,
35 or 40 years ago, whenever I did it, the gas company came out and said, okay, you held the pressure, it passed inspection, so.
yeah, anything to do with gas and electric, the companies themselves hold you to getting a permit. Yeah, so they
Okay.
have to get those.
All right, so I need, okay, I can do the front windows, right? I don't have to do the sides and the back?
Can you see the sides from the street real well?
Not really.
You can see them somewhat. Obviously, you can't see the back. And I drove
Yeah.
around to the alleyway, you definitely can't see the
You'd have to
back.
be up in my driveway before you can see them.
But you can see I was standing on the sidewalk, so you can see it's visible from there. Let me see if I know them from the other side.
So they were double hung,
Uh,
most likely, or,
Yeah, I think they were double hung at one time. The front ones were definitely casements, though.
okay.
Okay. The secondary facade, they're probably double hung.
Those would be real easy to add a centerpiece to it.
I'll get some double side, that 3M whatever stuff, and I'll make it look old.
That'll work great. Does the preservation office need any submittal from her?
Well, since the windows were done without a permit would be good.
Okay, yeah. Might do an after-the-fact permit.
Excuse
So
me?
you might need to do an after-the-fact permit for the
That's what
windows?
You suggested that I had to
Yeah.
pay that?
I believe you can
Because
pull that.
Martin Construction's not even in business anymore. I've tried to find them.
Yeah, they should be paying that technically, but since they're not around anymore, near the property owner, unfortunately falls to you.
Okay, so,
They'll come out and make sure that they're properly sealed and installed, even though it's been 11 years.
sealed.
There's caulking around the edges. That's the stuff they check.
The
Just-
Historical Society?
No, the permit, when you pull your window permit.
Okay. So I pay for the permit today, and they're going to come out and inspect the seal on it?
So you're gonna get a letter from the Historic Preservation Office. This is to fix apply the exterior muntins with this tape, do the work, and then I believe then you can pull a window permit, and it's a retroactive permit. They'll come out and inspect it, and then you're clear.
Okay. All right. I'll get somebody to do that job.
Yeah. Someone with a, good measuring tape and stuff, so it comes out nice.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
all right. Is
Did-
that it?
Yeah.
And am I on a time restriction? Because my income, I'm retired now. There's no way I can afford a whole bunch of money here.
No, honestly, ma'am, this is the cheapest option they could give you.
Excuse me?
This is the cheapest option that we could
Okay,
give you,
that's what I was
honestly.
just-
Yeah.
So this way, like you said, you don't have to get new windows. Okay, you just have to make yours look like they were there all the
There
time.
was no way I could buy
Exactly.
them. I'd have to
Exactly.
sell the house.
Yeah.
No
So
way.
I'm relatively new here, so I have questions about the process, and I just want to make sure that we're all clear. The Preservation Office sends her a letter explaining what we decided and what work she needs to do.
Yes, that's correct. Right?
Yes, she'll get a certificate of appropriateness, which is what this is basically, explaining that she came here today and this is what you approved. So if there are any modifications, we have to list them. After she gets that, we recommend that she go ahead and apply those muntins on the windows, make the grid pattern, and then get your permit, because then everything will be completely legal.
And do you understand all that, ma'am? Do you have
Yeah.
any questions
Yeah,
about,
I'm
like,
just a little nervous because I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking, okay, this is going to cost some money.
and it's also very technical, right? We want to make sure that we send you out of here with the appropriate
Okay, I just want to make
instructions.
sure that it's the front two windows that you want to see look old.
Well, they also mentioned the side window because it was double hung. That means it had visually it had a line in the middle of it. Is that correct? Yeah. And also on the front then, is there any guidance? We don't want her to go and put 4 muntins and it's too many and the grids are too small, or, I don't know how technical we want to be, but to avoid her having any confusion and having to come back, is there any guidance on how you apply the muntin?
Well, we will have this picture and we'll try and do a little more research, but basically this is about what we have to go off of. It looked to me like they were casements at one point. Multi-light, double leaf, operable casements.
So that would be like two lines, two vertical lines, and then
Quite a few
two
horizontal ones. Yeah,
lines on the, yeah.
a few horizontal ones, yeah.
Yeah, so, do you understand all that, ma'am? Do you want assistance, or do you want, like, would it be helpful to have a picture of a casement window that's similar to what would have been there before?
Probably would be helpful. I can look back through my scrapbooks to see if I have any old pictures.
And is that something that we're able to provide in the letter that we send her?
Well, like I said, we can try and do a little more research, but
Kinda
basically,
hard
this
to
is what we
tell.
have.
Bars on the
Mhm.
windows.
Yeah, if you have any pictures, ma'am, at home of the house, before the window, if you have any pictures at home of the house before the windows were changed, that would be really helpful. That way we know exactly what kind of windows you used to have. If you have any pictures of the house previously, before the windows were removed, that would be very helpful,
Okay.
because it'll tell us,
My scrapbook and see,
if you could, that would be great.
because it's like, you don't go around taking pictures of your windows of your house, but I have pictures of my house like at Christmas time.
Yeah, that
Might
would,
be able to see something like that.
that would be useful. What you could do is maybe bring those to the Historic Preservation Office, and you all can figure out what the configuration should be.
Okay. Okay. So it's two fronts and this first side window.
I'm okay with that. Is everyone okay with that? Yeah. All right, well, thank you.
That's it?
Yep, we're going to go ahead and make a motion.
Send me a letter and all that stuff?
Yes, you should receive a letter probably mid-next week, I would assume, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, if you're,
Move to approve
okay, motion is.
with the, how would I say that? Move to approve with the modifications recommended in this discussion? Is that the
Actually,
motion?
Isaac, if you would list the
We need to
modifications, that's
spell it
really
out.
clear.
Okay. Okay, the modification is, or motion that the modification is three-dimensional exterior applied muttons that simulate or match the original muttons are applied to the front windows and first side window near the front of the house.
Okay.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No. All right. Yeah, you should receive a letter and then bring your photos if you can find any of the house, and they will help you come up with a configuration that will simulate the old windows.
Or if I find some pictures, 'cause I'm gonna call somebody to probably do it, I can show them the pictures, say, copy this,
Yeah,
or you still need to see the old windows.
We would still need to see them.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
In other words, don't do it until, gotcha,
That would be great, thank you.
all right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
all right.
It's just crazy, I thought that guy got a permit for everything.
Yeah, this is contractors. It's
Wow.
not just El
I
Paso.
got a lot of stuff through this lady here.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah,
I
we
feel
should,
sorry for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Well, 'cause, I mean, that's kind of rude. Somebody trying to get by with that stuff. I'm expecting them to do their job, and they're not. So now I'm in trouble.
the telltale is if they work on Saturdays and Sundays only.
Yeah, that's the big clue, yeah,
Gotcha.
that's a big clue.
Okay. You guys have a nice day.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, you too.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
On to item number 2, which is 1533 Upson Drive.
Okay.
1533 Upson Drive.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Item number 2 is for a certificate of appropriateness, a reconsideration of a certificate of appropriateness for construction of an accessory structure and deck after the fact. This is for 1533 Upson Drive, zoned R5H, residential historic. Built in 1957, it is a non-contributing property in Sunset Heights Historic District. So this item came before the HLC back in November of 2024. Might have been October, but the certificate of appropriateness was granted in November of 2024. So this is what the house used to look like. This is what we have in our files. And we found out that there was a lot of work being done without any permits or approvals. So they came to the HLC back in November, and this is what they are requesting to get, what they were requesting to get approved after the fact. So, yeah, a lot of work. They actually had to go through the Zoning Board of Adjustment as well because they were encroaching on the setbacks, as you can tell. It was built right up to the property line. And unfortunately, with this one, well, first of all, these are the plans that were submitted initially. And some of the commissioners that were here that remember, you had requested additional drawings, something a little more, with a little more clarity. And this is what was submitted. So we did get this elevation plan. And this is the ZBA decision to approve the encroachment into the setbacks. So they did get an okay from zoning. And this is the surrounding neighborhood, and this is the COA that was granted. Now, this COA was granted due to the lack of quorum. That was the last day that commissioners had to review the case. Unfortunately, quorum was not met, and the work was essentially granted without any modifications as is. So the reason that this is coming back today is that when they submitted for permits, obviously the planning office, plan review office found that the drawings didn't have enough information. So they requested better drawings, something with more information, and this is what was submitted. And the reason that it's coming before you today is because the drawings are slightly different from what was initially presented. So at this point, the approval has already been granted. So we're not here to discuss the approval of this, considering that legally it has been already given the okay. At this point, the reason that we're here is that the footprint varies slightly from what was initially submitted. Now, the footprint is slightly larger towards the rear instead of tapering off. And I don't know if you can see it here. On the northwest corner, it kind of tapers off. There is also mention of, I believe there was a gable at the front. And the new drawings just vary slightly from that. Now, there are certain things that we can approve, small ticket items that we can approve in-house to a certificate of appropriateness. But any time that the design or the layout is changed, that's something that we can't really approve ourselves, since it would be going against what was granted by the HLC. So at this point, this is what we're looking at. It's slightly larger towards the rear. Let's see. Sure. No, these are two separate floors because it's a sort of a multi-level structure. So these are plans of the deck and the framing for the deck. So there was a lot of work that was done. The topography was changed. Obviously, no permits or approvals for that either. The fence was raised, no permits or approvals for that. Painting, you know, a lot of work has been done without permits or approvals. So at this point, they're trying to go forward with their design. Obviously, the city requested additional information, which I think also kicked in an engineer to come on board to sort of beef up the load that's bearing on the exterior rock wall. So with that, we're recommending approval with the following modifications based on the following from the design guidelines of El Paso's historic districts. Retain the original materials and features of historic garages and outbuildings, including windows, doors, siding, trim, and lattice work. If replacement of an element is necessary, match the original in design and, if possible, materials. Design new garages and outbuildings to be compatible with the main structure on the lot in material and design, using existing historic outbuildings in the districts as an example. Limit the size and scale of garages and accessory structures so that the integrity of the original structure or size of the existing lot is not compromised or significantly diminished. New garages and accessory buildings should be located in rear yards. Prefabricated wooden accessory structures are appropriate when they are designed to be compatible with the principal structure on the site and with other buildings in the district. Retain mature trees that contribute to the character of the historic district. Maintain the property's natural topography and avoid grading that adversely affects drainage and soil stability or could negatively impact existing trees. Slopes shall not be paved. Grass and sod may be removed from front yards, side yards, on a corner provided not more than 50% of the area is covered with gravel or masonry. Grass and sod may be removed from parkways provided not more than 50% of the area is covered with gravel or other masonry that is made of impervious materials such as brick pavers, gravel, and masonry pavers. The remaining 50% must be covered with trees and living plants that provide ground cover. Locate decks at the rear of the structure or in a location not readily visible from the street. Decks should be of materials and dimensions that do not monopolize the rear elevation or significantly detract from the architecture of the building. It is not appropriate to install decks that require the removal of historic materials or otherwise damage or obscure architectural features. Design and construct decks so that they may be removed in the future without damage to the historic structure. Construction of new fences, stairs, or sidewalk rails and replacement of older existing fences is allowed on historic properties provided that the proposed site feature is of a compatible material and scale. Rock, brick, wood, and wrought iron are acceptable materials, but each case is decided individually. Cinder block and chain link fencing are relatively recent developments and are therefore not appropriate fencing materials. The height of the proposed fence should complement the structure, primarily as viewed from the street, and should not obstruct the public's view of the building. Replace mature trees with similar canopy and in the same location when they are damaged or diseased. When the same site location is not practical, select a location for replacement trees that will enhance the appearance of the character of the historic streetscape or provide shade. Retain fences and walls that contribute to the historic character of the property and the district where possible. If replacement is necessary, replace only the deteriorated element to match the original in dimension, proportion, material, texture, and detail. Introduce new fences and walls compatible in material, design, scale, location, and size with original fences and walls in the historic district. The height of the proposed fence should complement the structure and should not obstruct the public's view of the building. Any proposed fence higher than 32 inches solid or 48 inches open measured from the ground level at the front property line or a side yard property line on a corner lot shall be reviewed by the HLC. Any proposed fence higher than 6 feet between buildings or on an interior property line across the rear property line shall be reviewed by the HLC. And from the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction will not destroy the historic materials, features, and spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with the historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion, and massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. New additions and adjacent or related new construction shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. And the modification is that only permits for this work, which is the accessory structure, shall be issued until the property is in compliance.
All right, thank you, Mo. So what exactly are we voting on again?
So we're here to vote on the change of the size of the proposed, well, of the existing structure now. So as you can tell, construction did stop once they were caught doing the work. At this point, like I mentioned, the approval has been granted. So in this case, you're only voting on the new size, on the new dimensions that were not previously approved in the.
So the accessory structure is approved, but the additional parts to it are not.
Correct.
Okay.
Essentially.
Just to make it clear, so they added after the fact, or they just went and field verified and they find out it was a little bigger than?
That's pretty much what it was.
'Cause-
They
The
feel
structure was there since the beginning, correct?
Exactly.
It was-
Yeah, and the new plans that came in had a lot more information. They were more accurate, so since technically the inaccurate plans were the ones that got approved, now you're approving the accurate plans.
Okay. And then the rest of the property is not in compliance at the moment?
At this point, I mean, we can't really say much about the fencing either, because that was part of the original certificate of appropriateness. We just asked that the landscaping be in compliance, moving forward, that any new, basically any new work come through our office first.
Okay. All right, any questions for Mo?
Yeah, I have a question on this may be a broader question and not directly applicable to this particular case, but in the introduction, you mentioned that it's not a contributing structure. Is that correct?
Correct.
And in the guidelines, it says, on the second bullet point, it says design new garages and outbuildings to be compatible with the main structure on the lot and material and design using existing historic outbuildings in the district, right? How do we apply that when the building itself isn't necessarily, it isn't a contributing structure, right? Are we seeking to
Just
make
because
that-
it's non-contributing doesn't mean it's not historic.
Right, so, but what are we making it consistent with then? The other buildings in the neighborhood or the main building on that particular lot? Which I could also see, right? Because in Sunset Heights, for example, it seems like we have two major eras of building, right? We have the pre-war era that we're more familiar with, and then we have like the kind of ranch-style 1950s and 60s homes that this one is, which are also historic in a sense, but maybe aren't technically considered historic. So yeah, just wanting to, maybe that's a very fine point, but
Right, and we would definitely apply that if this was the first time that we were seeing it, if this was, the first go-around, but unfortunately, since it was already approved, yeah, at this point, we can't really apply that unless if it's anything new coming to the HLC.
right, but so we would be applying that standard of matching the building going forward if a case like this came up, or if this was a new application, we would be seeking to make the new addition consistent with what's on the lot as opposed to consistent with what's in the neighborhood.
Yes,
Okay.
in keeping with the architectural styles that exist. In this case, this particular building was existing on the lot. It wasn't, it was basically just a crater in the ground, but they decided to sort of build it up to give it use. Unfortunately, unfortunately, it was done without speaking to the preservation office first. So at this point, I mean, our hands are kind of tied in the sense that we can't really request that they make any changes architecturally, but, I mean, if you have any caveats that you want to add, that's up to the commission.
All right. I think we'd like to see the landscaping updated, but that was,
Hey.
yeah.
Hi, am I able to speak?
Mr. Sikala?
Yes, sir.
I'm-
I've been on the line, but I'm not sure. And I have a representative there who's building, and he's also a resident of the house itself, and he can explain any of the modifications. And I'm grateful for what you guys do, and I take pride in living in Sunset Heights for living in such an historical area. I know we made some errors in the past. We had some miscommunications, but I do know that everything that he's done, whether it was approved without the quorum in November or not, is consistent with what the other homes in the neighborhood look like, and consistent with, in a sense, what UTEP looks like across the street as well, because it's on the corner near UTEP. And if it's okay with you, I know that Gabriel Flores is there present in person, and he can explain a little bit more to you about how it is, to the best of our ability, remaining consistent with what the rest of the neighborhood and the surrounding homes around us in that section of Sunset Heights look like.
Okay, we'll just have Mr. Flores come up and explain
Thank
his
you.
plan. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Gabriel Flores.
All
First, do you guys have any questions? I know the plans look like there's a roof over the complete lot, but it's actually set on grade.
Okay.
The only part that is not on grade is what was existing, which the homeowner's son said that it was a bomb bunker. So it's got two walls of 88 blocks, and from finished floor it sits 9 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
So that big hole there was existing from the time that he built it, which I believe, 50 years ago or something like that. So some of the material he used looked like they were leftover material from other jobs. So he had a bunch of different style block, and he had no rebar, nothing, no grout, and some of it was falling, So at that point, going off of other houses that were there, assuming it was just a mine, taking off that and stuccoing over it, since it's, we're not parts that were still good. So then we never really proposed or tried to build anything livable. It just was simply to repair everything, because we have students walking to school. And we had a homeless going in there. We'd find paraphernalia. So Paul's, asked me, he said, man, we need to do something. Is there anything that we could do? So I went ahead and I put a deck over it on the count that we'd have to get a permit. I said, bro, we're gonna have to get a permit sometime soon. So most of that's in the back. So, but now as stuff was torn down, now it's completely visible. And some of a miscommunication we had was the word footprint. So where I come from, footprint is called zoning. And it's inspection number 1, and it's an inspection card called zoning, rebar, footers, and then you have pre-slab. So that would be the structural measurements with the footers, or what they're calling footprint. That hole there has been for 50-some years. What did change, though, my numbers were off, because you could see there's no true 3/4, there's no true 45, there's no true angle on there. Everything's all over the place. So me getting my stuff together with the measuring tape, I did my best. Of course, we had professionals come out with their lasers. So it made it bigger, some parts, and some parts it made it smaller, whatever it was, but it was enough to get Mo's attention to be like, dude, you changed some stuff, So we kind of had to go back and forth a little bit. So the painting was done after the pre-approval from the last one. As you can see, one of the drawings, it didn't get to Mo's email account. One did, so I didn't have the front, which at that point, it was like, okay, as long as you reach our guidelines with the landscape and the colors, and so since we got pre-approved with that, and the front, we lost it. I should have brought it, but I didn't, because we had already talked about everything. But so we didn't paint that until after November. After the time that it was accepted. So once we got our professional drawings in, with and engineering, because that's a 9 foot deep hole from finished floor, we had to have engineering. So, I mean, we got 5/8 rebar, like 300 feet of 5/8 rebar going in there. We got a 24-inch by 12-inch deep footer going into the existing block wall that's holding the whole grade behind it. So I've already dug stuff out, just kind of prepping in case you guys needed some photos to see how everything was going. So not really changed anything structurally, other than what was noticed by Mo, that the drawings were inaccurate, and my attempts to turn in these drafts were to get everything in question and clear enough so that I could have some kind of a schedule to go by as far as where to start, because there's existing things. Some things I know can be grandfathered in and some things can't. It's also, there was plumbing in, there's existing plumbing, there's existing electrical. I removed all that stuff, number one, to prevent fires, because it was just regular Romex buried. So I'm trying to kind of work with getting it safe enough to be there. Also trying to find a common ground with you guys. So those drawings that I sent in, which I explained to Paul, like, I can only go so far until they tell you that you need engineering, which, well, I'm 90% sure you're gonna need it. But let's go as far as we can with our knowledge until they take over and say, now we need to do this. So that's a process we took, and it wasn't an attempt to kind of throw everything off or try to get away with anything. I'm not from here, so when I came, we kind of came together on agreement with minor adjustments. And of course, the deck is actual finished floor height all the way across. And so that was a whole dug before. So I was kind of in the area with trying to help out the situation, and Paul's my friend. I'm not contracting out here or nothing like that. I have 30 years of building, not here, but I'm trying to get to know your system, and some of the words you guys use are different. So I just want to make everything right, and so we've been in compliance. We have the drawings here, we have the engineering, and all we need is you guys to work with us on it, and we can continue. But
Okay. I think at this point, all we can do is ask for maybe landscaping to be 50%
Okay. Yeah.
greenery.
Okay.
And to submit a plan to the preservation office.
Okay,
Just showing
for sure.
Which plants and
Yeah,
where.
okay, and I'll call the architect and make sure that he puts a specific detail on that. That way, in case I submit something different and it's not,
Yeah.
we don't want to come back through the process. So I'll get with Mo and make sure that everything's 100% before anything's. But as far as the structurals, there was also a change because we assumed that rock wall could be used as a bearing point. So because we can't, it's just not engineered for weight coming down. It's engineered for going for the push, which I pretty much, I was hoping maybe they're like 18-inch rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but the engineering is what it is, and so we had to adjust. We got to put a footer inside. So we've already have all that stuff in the drawings and everything, and it's already been engineered, so stamped. We're just waiting for the city to submit and get through this so we can get it correctly. And I might stay here, so I kind of really want to. I like it here, so I was planning on just going back home, and I went home a few times. But I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna stay. So hopefully we'll get it together.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Flores? No? All right. So what we're going to do is approve the accessory structure, basically go with what the staff recommends here.
Okay.
And that the landscaping be
Okay.
brought into compliance.
Sure.
So that's 50% greenery.
Okay.
That means living ground cover, so like AstroTurf doesn't count.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I already looked around. Trust me, I learned a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of AstroTurf around, but it doesn't count
Yeah.
towards your
I understand.
50%. And
For sure.
prefer not to see it, but
Okay. All right.
yeah. Desert
Well-
plants, whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
Grass.
Okay. Well, I'll get with Mo and
Oh.
see what maybe we can come up with. Go ahead, Paul.
I have a quick question for you. So I know from the last time when we got the certificate of appropriateness, it said the same thing about the 50%. And I wanted to plant a mesquite tree in there because it's a desert dwelling plant, and it doesn't require as much watering in the whole 9 yards. But besides that, also I know 50% with grass, and I guess what I'm trying to ask too is, what's the deadline on that? Because I'll probably have to get a gardener or a specialist for the grass itself. That's probably the best option because the trees are going to take forever to grow. What's the deadline on that? Just so I know I can financially afford it.
So I think you get, you can do mesquite, you get credit for the mature plant. So if you were to plant small, young plants that will eventually grow, that's one thing. You don't have to do grass.
Okay.
A lot of people do. It's a lot of work, takes a lot of water. There's a lot of desert scape plants that do trail around, like rosemary and, there's the Palo Verdes there's all sorts of stuff you could use that use very little water.
So I have a question. How much percentage does a tree take up? I mean, it can't be just a percentage of the width of the trunk, right?
That's always the question, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so I mean, because I mean, it would make sense to then just plant a tree on the count that in so many years it goes to a certain amount, unless we got to buy a tree that's a certain age, or
No, you get credit for the mature, but what is the tree rule?
So the trees themselves don't necessarily give a whole lot because the guidelines state ground cover.
okay.
So, so for the tree, I mean, if anything, like you said, we would
Yeah.
probably give you credit for the trunk.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, bushes, like Isaac,
Okay.
like Mr. Hart was saying, lantanas, sage, but all that can be done administratively.
Okay. Okay.
So that, you don't have to
Okay.
come back to the HLC.
Okay.
And, I mean, at this point, if they rule the way, with our modifications, it's not going to hold up your current project.
Okay.
But, before you
Yeah.
move forward with anything else, you will have to take care of the landscaping, or at least, give
So
us a
do you
plan.
need us to do the landscape before? Because I think we could actually do the landscape on most of it, which is beyond 50%, because the actual part is really in the back, not in the back, but it's not because it's deck on the top, and then
Right.
So
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, we're only going to look at the front.
Okay, okay.
The front yard, so.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
we
then
can.
maybe I'll go downtown and then I could see what it is with the, or do you need to do it now for it to be?
We
Okay.
can, if
Okay,
you want to
okay.
come by,
Okay.
after,
Perfect.
and
And then we'll figure it out.
we'll discuss
Okay,
it.
perfect. Thank you, guys. Any
Yes.
more questions?
And-
So
and-
just to be clear,
I have one final question. I apologize. So at this point, will there be some paperwork that's put in so we're able to officially get that application in for the permit so we can resume work on it and just get that thing, done finally after it's been sitting for so long? Like, what's the process and how long will it take to show that we complied to the best that we could with historic, and now moving on to zoning and everything else that's required with Leo and others to get that permit? I know that since I hired an engineering firm, he's stamping off on it. I'm pretty sure that the permits will end up being approved. But at what point are we able to do that so we can start, continue working and get this project done? So there's no eyesore at all for the entire neighborhood.
So here's how it's gonna work. We're gonna make our motion here. You will then get a letter probably mid next week that you can take and get your permits for the accessory structure. But you won't be able to pull any other permits until you get the landscaping in compliance.
Okay, so.
No problem.
So what's submitted as far as the blueprints, we can go ahead and through this, after this, get the letter submitted together to our planning revisers, right?
Yes.
And then go ahead and then anything after that. So I know we have an AC unit that was installed as well. So do we wait to get this done and then do that afterwards, or can I get it done at the same time, be that there's electrical?
I think anything associated with the accessory structure will be approved.
Okay, all right, then we'll take care of that, and then we'll move on to the next.
Yeah,
And then,
so-
we'll do, okay, perfect.
So if like in the future you wanted to put an AC unit on some other part of the house,
Yeah.
you would have to be in compliance with.
No, I think even in Arizona, you have to have a permit for all that stuff. So-
Yeah.
So it's, I mean.
And just so you know, I had a conversation with Providencia last year because the cooler went out, and she was gracious enough to know that it's the summer, and so she had granted at least permission when I had submitted what the AC unit would look like and how it was on the ground and where it'd be in the backyard, and we kept the old cooler unit on top. Never took it down, so there was nothing that anybody could see that was changed. And I know now it's just a matter of, you know, we got that in right away and everything, but I still know that technically it probably still needs to be permitted, and that's what we're waiting on by the city itself. But I did get the permission from Providencia at the time.
Okay. So basically, we're approving the accessory structure.
Okay.
And then anything beyond that, you'd have to have the property in compliance.
Okay, perfect, no worries.
And
We're good.
Definitely, we're not planning on doing any more building. so no, we're not, like right now, we're not worried about getting another permit, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Everything's concentrated on this project, and we're gonna get it done and continue to be contributors to the Sunset neighborhood and Sunset Heights neighborhood and everybody around it.
all right, thank you, Mr. Sakala.
No, thank you. Have a great day, everybody. We appreciate what you guys do for our neighborhood.
Ready? Done? We're done? Chocotesha in Yoemia, that means thank you, my relatives, in my native language.
Oh, all
Yo
right.
sim Chokwe, that means God bless.
Thank you.
Ito te vine osile.
All right, we're going to go ahead and make a motion to accept staff's recommendation that only permits for the accessory structure are issued until the property is in compliance, that being 50% living ground cover.
No, second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you guys, have a good day. Thank you, Mo.
Thank you.
You got it. And just for a little clarification, you guys don't have to wait for the letter. If you're ready to submit, you can go ahead and, do it as soon as tomorrow if you want it.
Okay, cool, I'll make those. Maybe Monday, I don't want to go too far with that until I get.
Okay.
my two solo, maybe I'll
Sure.
go by Monday.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds
Have a
good.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, on to the consent agenda. Which has the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Abstain.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The staff report,
Sorry, Commissioners, did we have a second on that one?
yes,
Oh.
Mario.
No, sorry, I abstained because I was not here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
He abstained. Okay, let's go back. Move to accept the minutes from the last meeting. All those in favor? Aye. Any abstained?
Abstain.
All right. Now on to the HLC staff report. Move to accept the HLC staff report.
Second?
All those in favor? Any opposed? Oh, all right. And now to vote for a vice chair. I can't be it, so
True. No, I was going to say, would you like to wait until we have more people present?
unless someone
To
here
take a
really
vote?
wants to be vice chair? No? That's the vice chair spot. All right, we'll postpone that to the next meeting then, I guess. Unless, were you interested?
No, I was gonna ask if we could nominate somebody who's not here and then vote for them.
Oh,
I mean, if we don't need a vice chair, we can.
they probably don't like that.
Yeah, because they're not here to accept, and then
Yeah.
to just, well, when did we did that? We did that the last time, right? Didn't we spring that on somebody?
I believe so.
I think it was on Angela, and we said, hey,
Yeah.
you're vice chair, and she was
Yeah.
very gracious about it, but we can't expect that with everybody. So, yeah.
All right, we'll postpone the election on vice chair till the next meeting. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Nope. All right, thank you, everyone. Are there any announcements? I forgot that part.